everyone. It's time for another East County Sports Report. Joining us this week, Dave, the Helix Highlanders varsity football team as we prepare more previews for the upcoming season. We've got new Highlanders, we've got returning Highlanders, we've got Highlanders that are going to make a big splash this season. We don't, take any years off at Helix. We just reload. We've got a group of guys here we're going to speak to today, Dave, as the Helix Highlanders try to get back to the top of the heap. And we know they're going to be there. It's going to be an awesome season in the Grossmont Hills League, Dave, with the Highlanders.
Yeah, it always is. And what the last show we did was we had one representative for is that even a word, a West Hillian? I guess I'll call him. No, we had Joey Hamilton last week, but now we got a few Highlanders, Scotties. What else could we call you? But also, how many?
We say once a Scotty, always a Scotty around here, Dave.
Yeah, that's the way to put it.
A lot of Highlanders on this screen, my
there
friend. Lee Norman, junior quarterback. Harlem Harris, a wide receiver from the team, a senior. Tell me if I'm wrong on these grades, guys. But I got Bodie Friend coming in here, transfer in for Helix, a junior, and Gabe Giordano. I call him Gabe 2.0 this year. That's how old I am. His dad rocked with Helix as well. So we got some guys here, Dave, as Helix prepares for the season.
Yeah, I think, Ramon's going back. My father, the late Bill Dickens, probably interviewed some of those guys, some of your relatives as well, as he was covering East County sports for 47 some odd years. So I'm sure he had a couple of interviews with them on more than one occasion. And at the time, Ramon being his top pupil, and then kind of threw it my way much later. But we don't want to say rebuild. But we did lose 32 seniors for graduation. I'm going to shoot it to you, Gabriel 2.0.
So, obviously last year was a big year for us. It was a lot of seniors on that team. I mean, as I remember, I was one of the only juniors on that defense who got the opportunity to get a couple plays in and make my shot clear. But, it was around 32 to 34 seniors on that defense and the offense, overall the whole team. And it was definitely a loaded team, as we would say, overall. And that whole year was memorable, and we definitely made a lot of good games and memories. Obviously, we didn't get it done, but, we definitely had a experienced, is the best way to put it, team last year.
Now, Gio, we had a lot different lineup too. It was a different year where they decided to change up the Grossmont Hills and the Grossmont Valley League just for 1 year. So how different was that for you as well?
So going into the different schedule and whatnot, I mean, that was obviously a difference, you know what I mean? Going against those teams and preparing for those teams for sure. Obviously, we had different. I mean, we can start with the first game. We had Edison the very first game, and that was a big surprise. We didn't really – that was actually supposed to be a bye week, and we took that in and, we did our job. We went in and we definitely got the job done. I feel like that's what we do here at our school for sure, is we definitely take time to, prepare for our teams and give them the best that we all do as a team. You know what I mean? Not as specific players, but definitely as a team, it's a really team experience. And that's for every team we played. For sure.
And while I have you, I was going to ask you to actually introduce maybe some of the newer players and maybe some playmakers that stand out to you and some that are growing into. I mean, you said you got a lot of freshmen that are even stepping up.
Yeah.
Okay, secondary and linebackers. Who do you know? Who do we got? We know we got Bodie here. You can kind of
Yep.
talk about it
So
up
as
front, but you can talk about him too and how the impact he'll make on this team.
For sure. So, yeah, obviously we got a young team coming in, but I mean, the way I'm seeing it is just definitely a team to come in and do our job. So, I mean, a couple guys that I wrote down to make sure that I remember is obviously my safety back there with me, Roddy. Can't get his last name in right now, but he's definitely in a very well safety. I mean, he puts in the work for sure. Always in the gym, all those morning workouts, he was there and he's definitely able to track down that ball. It's the best way I can put it. He's physical and he knows what he's doing. And then we got our two corners, Bradford and DC, or we call him DC, but his name's Davion Creighton. He's definitely both were on the team last year. You know, did all just like me. We always when we got in, we made the shot. But this year, you know, here's our actual shot to get in and make plays that we need to do. But that's for the secondary right now. And we also got Jeshua. He's in here too. It's his first year back at football, and he's also a very quick, athletic individual. And then for linebackers, coming into, you know, we had the Mayas and the Jaira and all those guys coming in. So we always have big linebacker group. But we have Dante as one of our outside linebackers. For one of our middle linebackers, we have obviously Jeremy Davis, who also plays outside. Very experienced player, physical for sure. We have Jeremiah, and we have Ronnie Lewis as the linebackers I can state right now. All
Appreciate
looking
that.
good.
Bodie's going to practice with some of these guys right now. I'm sure he's been with the team here now, ready to go as a
Yeah.
Highlander. If your last name is Friend, you shouldn't be at another school, Bodie, sir. So we're glad we got you in La Mesa. That's where you belong. But tell me what you've experienced so far. You know kind of the Helix way, I think. Your uncle was a long-time defensive coordinator at Helix, and this is where you belong, man. So tell me what your experience is so far, coming from a great program to another one here, and maybe the differences and what you're experiencing right now with these new guys. Probably some you're familiar with coming in.
Yes, sir. I've got to know all of them through morning workouts and just having class with them, and I am surrounded by a great group of guys. And like one thing that is actually kind of funny to me is like, oh, you're a friend, or oh, you're related to, oh, coach friend, or
Mm-hmm.
like actually both of the coach friends, since my dad is now trying to get back into coaching and stuff. And yeah, that was pretty cool.
No doubt about it. And of course, working with Coach Tawanuu here, I'm sure you had some experience with him and part of the attraction of coming back to or coming over to Helix.
Yes, sir.
So you talk about Coach Tawanuu. I mean, this guy's been a huge impact for this program.
Which
Who do you
one
have
was
right
that?
now? Who do you have as your coach? Tell me about your coaches right now
Oh, for defensive line, or are you saying like in general?
in general
Oh,
as a
well,
whole on defense.
for defense, my two D line coaches is Coach Silva and Coach Frank. They're like,
Okay, thank you.
I guess, sir. And then, actually, my Coach Friend, like I've been working with them, I'd say since around eighth grade, just getting through like my basic O line and D line reads, and just like he's actually made a really big impact in the way I play football and the way I just view the sport.
I appreciate that. We've had trouble, actually, Dave, over the years, kind of narrowing down our focus on the Highlanders. So I do appreciate that, Dave.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna shift over, and Lee, I was gonna have you introduce some of the offensive players. Now, is this going to be your first full-time job behind center this season?
Yes, it will. It will be.
And you pretty much, I can tell that you do believe that, and you are QB1. That's been pretty much set in stone for the season opener against El Camino.
Right.
Okay, and yeah, so if you could start with the most vital part of your is your protection, and especially that left tackle, as we all know, cover that blind side. But if you want to start there and name some of your players, how new they are, if they've been with the team for a year or two.
Definitely. We definitely got some hogs up front, from older class to younger class. Started at center, we have Lathan. He's gonna be a senior this year, but he's definitely been a part of the program. Definitely got some playing time. Well, he was hurt last year. That's probably why he didn't play as much. He messed up his back to a fracture, but he's healthy right now. And he's like looking like a dog in practice. And then left guard, we have Kingston. He's another senior. He's also been in the mix. He's a dog for me for sure. He's been pancaking guys since I don't know since he's been playing football. And then we have some new guys for right guard. Don't quote me because I don't know the starting O line for right now, but we have Royce. This is his first year playing football. He's a senior, and we have Sean. Sean is another young guy, but he's a dog too. And then for our left tackle and right guard, we have Kenyon. It's also his first year, and then right guard we have Bodie as well. So Bodie's playing both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
Dave.
get your hands full, I guess. No pun intended, Bodie. But so I mean that's the most important part of, and we tend to forget without that line, and in particular the left tackle. And then how about your tailbacks?
Oh, we have Isaiah Pablo Jackson. He transferred from Granite.
You remember that interview, Dave, we had with the Eagles? Talking about
Yeah.
Pablo over at Helix. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, that's been my guy since day one. We grew up with each other since we were like 5, played on the same youth football. So for him to transfer over, I communicated with him. I was like, yeah, man, like it's back to the old stopping grounds, so definitely having him in the backfield is wonderful. And then we have Jordan Lindley. He played for JV, but now he's up. He's kind of learning the role from Pablo, but he's definitely making an impact on the field. And then for our wide receiver core, I like our wide receiver core. They definitely can track the ball. We definitely have a lot of speed, and that's what kind of Helix is known for. We definitely are physical off the ball, definitely can block. So for our starting outsides, we have another young guy named J9. His name is Jeremy, and then we have Harlem Harris. And then for our slot, we got Jake. And then our other slot, the Y, we kind of use him as a tight end, but he's from the slot, Braylon Ross. We also got like Roddy Aguilar and Bradford Tharp. Those guys get in a mixture, but they play defense, so they're going to play both ways.
Yeah,
Now,
Dave.
before we, because we tend to forget about the little guys, but they won us quite a few games, and sometimes they could even be the difference between continuing in the postseason and an extra point, 3 points. Maybe you give some love to the special teams, and maybe you got some names for me for there. And as far as kick returners, and also a starting kicker.
Maybe Harlem can get in on this. He's the speed guy. Let me just say this: Harlem probably the fastest guy on the field every game except for one. I'm just teasing you a little bit, Harlem. Go ahead. Give me the speed guys who can get us in the return. Whatever you got on that.
So I'm mainly the returner, but we also got Bradford Thorpe, another great punt returner. Jeremy Robinson, another young guy, getting into the varsity field. And we got some pretty good punters too, Chase McDowell and Marco. And our kicker is actually a girl named Aubrey. She's very talented, tough, minded, and go after. So we're pretty young, but we're getting so good.
Well, her kickoff last year, right? Was it the same female kicker that was doing kickoff duty last year, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
Great. Yeah, no doubt about it. And, talk about the transfer wheel a little bit. Yeah, Arrington goes over to the Matadors. But you know what? I'll tell you what, Harlem, you can only get so fast. I would imagine you would close the gap a little bit over this season a little bit on Brandon here. As talented and awesome he is to watch. You were as well. Dave is enamored with numbers, guys who run sub 4.5. Dave loves those guys. He loves the sub 1100 guys. So, you're right up his alley. And Dave, as far as Lee's concerned, he is the heir apparent to Ryland Jesse. Of course, remember, Dave, when we started covering Ryland out of the pandemic. I mean, basically, think about all the things he's went through, and you look at where Lee is now as a junior, stepping in for a quarterback now who basically is at Michigan State in the new revamped conference and everything. And you look at the growth of Ryland to get over to Michigan State after we thought he was going to be up in Logan. So that's been awesome. So, Lee, no doubt with you, and I think with Coach Jenister, certainly that's got to be fun and awesome and learning as you go along. You got your chances to play well, let's just call it for what it was. Maybe it was a little bit of mop-up duty, but you stood out in those games in your moments. You moved them right down the field as well. So knowing with work with Jesse last year and Coach Jenister, no doubt about it. A lot of people know Dave. Coach Jenister, the offensive coordinator of the Highlanders, is the head coach of the Strike Force. They just had that awesome season, and I don't want to say it like this, Lee, but you could talk about the team more of this, but I'll joke about it. Maybe it's a good thing they lost because we need them coaching this week and not for that championship game. I'm sure you guys went down to some of those games, Lee.
Yeah, we actually went down there just, team bonding and just to show Coach Taylor some love. But yeah, like that's actually funny that you said that because me and my pops were like, dang, what happened if they lose? I hope they win, but like we kind of need them back for this week, But yeah, they definitely had a great season.
Is it part of the?
Now is Dave Beezer still part of that part of the Strike Force now? I know he was for a short time.
He had the job before Coach Jenister, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a few years ago. How was it down there, though, Lee? And what type of things did you see, that Coach Jenister, we think of him as kind of dynamic at this point, and everywhere he's gone in life. I mean, look at this guy, wherever he's been at as a player, as a coach, he gets the most of his own ability and then kind of just kicks down the next door. It feels like we kind of got a guy that probably is going to go on for even bigger and better things. And we got him here right now, working with Ryland last year and with you right now. Is that the way it feels, having a guy like him?
I mean, yeah, definitely. He's a great coach, Definitely his teaching is just to be hard on you. But I feel like he understands the game more than anything. And I can see that, like, progressing throughout the years is when he's teaching. The sky's the limit for him as coaching.
And Harlem, we saw you and Lee clicking a little bit in the off season, in the tournament circuit, and the working together. Man, it must be good to have him. That arm looks pretty strong right now, and I'm sure he's glad to have a speed guy like you. Helix has had some speedy guys, no doubt, throughout the years, but it feels like we kind of got away from the long ball a little bit.
Right. Especially having great running backs like Chris Washington, Kevin Allen.
Yeah, Kevin looking good at EWU on that red turf. Go ahead, Harlan.
Yeah, those were some dogs. So that definitely took a little bit away from the air raid style offense. So, but now I feel like we're more of a balanced team. We have Pablo Jackson backfield. We have speed on the outside and a little bit of size on the outside as well too, so we can stretch out the field, but also attack the middle as well. So.
You're talking about former Highlanders. Speaking of that, I'm sure you guys heard the news as of recent. Now you have a player that we were actually pretty familiar with, and we were fortunate to cover in his senior year. Isaiah Wooden going over to the LA Chargers. That's a pretty huge deal. Somebody coming from Helix like that, and you want to talk about a speedy guy with some moves and some hands.
Yeah, and he could play. Maybe Harlem, go ahead. I want you to comment on him, but you probably follow the wide receiver scene a little bit more than these guys. Let me fill in the blank though a little bit, Dave. Of course, he was with Atlanta. Dave, I don't know if you caught this, and this is not to say, I'll let Harlem comment. He's probably pretty familiar with Wooden or watches his game a little bit. The man who basically replaced Isaiah on the Falcon roster is Jesse Matthews, the former San Diego State and Christian High Patriot, he was with the Texans last year and he got an ACL. I'm not saying that Isaiah was booted out for that, because there's no doubt that there's going to be some work there for Jesse. He's got some incredible hands. Maybe Harlem knows that, but Wooden going over to the Chargers, I think was pretty exciting. And the way the Chargers are working out right now, look, they might be good in the future, but it's going to take a little bit. But Harlem, what do you think of Woody? You been watching that?
Last year, at track season, great guy. You know, he's hungry. Oh, focused on the important things. Very important. So, great. He's a great athlete. Had a great career at Southern. So, I'm hoping he does well and makes the free roster.
You got that, Dave? I'm in a little bit of audio. I don't know if it's maybe I'm trying to figure it out. Dave, go ahead on that. Unless you want me to continue, I've got plenty more for these guys.
Oh no,
I have a little bit of audio. I got most of it though, Harlem. Thank you.
I was just going to ask, Lee being the taking over the helms. I mean, those are pretty big shoes to fill. And what was really strange about that, at the beginning of his career, pretty young kid, he started off a little rickety. He wasn't. We were kind of wondering if he was going to be the guy when he first started, but by his sophomore year, talk about a quarterback that could really read the field and definitely a gunslinger type of quarterback. Now, are we going to include? We haven't mentioned that yet. How about any tight ends that we're going to be working with for some special plays, trying to hit those corners?
For tight end, Braylon Ross. We attach him at tight end because of his height. He has good size too, but we kind of keep him out the slot. Then we have Josh Richardson. He's definitely a guy that, he plays both ways as well, but he definitely has hands. So we kind of mix him in as a block person, a catch person, just whatever he needs. He's just a great fit for our offense.
Dave, that's a great mention because I just want to point this out. Helix has some interesting tight ends. It's a in position that often is overlooked in high school ball because we don't get a lot of throws. But just want to mention something I saw when researching, and maybe I can lead into the schedule a little bit, ask about the exciting season we're going to have. But in the game, I believe it's going to be the home game against St. Francis, second game of the year. Helix is going to induct this year's group. When you have a Hall of Fame induction at Helix, and maybe one of these guys will be honored one day, but usually you get some pretty big names when you have the Helix Hall of Fame. And how about these guys? Jamar Taylor, I'm sure Gabe loves that, and Levine Toilolo, a pretty good NFL tight end. Certainly they're going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame along with the late Scott Anderson, who played. I remember watching those teams at the old San Diego Stadium, Dave, in 1978, I think it was, when Helix had some great teams. I was like a 10-year-old loving Helix football. I lived on the north side of Highway 8. But no doubt, Dave, I just want to tease these guys a little bit, maybe with Lee. I was looking through the social media stuff, and I saw Lee say that if he were to compete in the Olympics, he might be a water polo. No, is that right? Now, Helix had some good water polo teams, but never got to the top. Now, the girls' team last year, they were awesome. Maybe you guys went. Maybe Gabe and Lee checked them out. They went. They were going all the best team that Helix has ever had, and girls water polo has only been around, several years. But I just wanted to tell Lee, the East County, Dave, the only person to medal at the Olympics this past month, the East County had one person medal. It was in water polo. Anybody, Dave, Lee, anybody got the name, Dave? Do you know who it was? Alex Bowen, who went to Santana. He got a bronze medal at the Olympics in water polo. They finished in third place. Listen to this, Dave. Not only was he the CIF Player of the Year his senior year, he just went on to Stanford, four-time All-American. That's pretty good, right? Stanford, four-time All-American. But if I can tie it in one more step here for Lee, now we think of Olympians at the games East County. Now this player doesn't count. She's not from East County. Her dad played quarterback at Helix High. Lee, any idea who the person I'm talking about that got a gold medal, who she is? And do you know her dad's name, who was one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in Helix Highlander history?
Alex Smith.
Say it again.
Alex Smith.
Well, Alex Smith certainly is the greatest quarterback in Helix history, I would think, right? But Jim Plum was the Helix All-American from those years of 1978. Anderson blocking for him, and of course his daughter was Plum from the Aces that won the gold medal. So just want to point that out. All the great Helix quarterbacks, so in the past, Dave and Lee with a chance should join them here.
You know, one that gets overlooked, I think that we tend to forget is Jeff Hammerschmidt. I think is overlooked, and that he was one of the great quarterbacks too in the early '80s. And I don't know if you've ever heard that. You guys have heard that name before, but he was also a phenomenal arm for the Highlanders.
He was a great defensive back too. Gabe probably knows those guys. One thing I saw was a picture of those dudes, some of those great Helix secondary guys like Chuck Cecil. Remember, he was awesome as well. I think he was in that. Yeah, for sure, as well. So, all right, Bodie, tell me a little bit more now coming in for these Highlanders. I want to just talk about this schedule, but. You know, Gabe kind of mentioned it we played Edison last year. I know you weren't part of the team, but just bear with me on this. We're going to host El Camino. I was out there. I don't know, Gabe and Lee, you weren't I don't think you guys were members of the team 2 years ago. Maybe you were at that game. We lost El Camino, a game we should have won in the playoffs. We led late. Gabe, do you remember that? Sorry, Bodie.
Yeah, so that was the opportunity. I got to come up as that was
okay.
My freshman, sophomore year, I got to dress out, and it was, it was a battle. And so one thing that I can say, and I know if Coach Maggio was here, he would probably agree with me here, is that game was it was a good game. Yeah, I don't think we should have lost that game, first round playoff, but special teams was a major role in that game, I would say. And so from that game, we have made sure, that we really put strength in our special team more than just part of the game. It's definitely a major part of the game. It's the way that we look at it after that game. You know what I mean? Just being on that sideline and noticing what I see and obviously what everybody else sees. Special teams was a big role in that game, and I think that we worked on that after that year for sure. So, but yeah.
See, Ramon, that's why I was asking Lee earlier about special teams. That's it often gets overlooked, and that's your bread and butter. I mean, that can lose you a lot of ball games. You can ask some of those some of those recent Packers teams had some special team issues.
We've had some home run threats, though, Harlem, haven't we? Last year.
Yes, sir. Mainly
besides Brandon.
Brandon, yeah, yes, sir.
Besides Brandon, go ahead.
Kevin Allen, definitely Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah, he came through, talk about some big touchdowns, right, at the key moments there. So, okay, we're going to take on El Camino to start off, Dave. Then we're hosting St. Francis. Helix won last year against St. Francis on the road, 45-21. The Gauntlet Series resumes. We're going to play at Saints. Also host Madison and at Cathedral Catholic. So we still got, Saints, Cathedral, Helix, all meeting up. Then we get into the league schedule, and I pose this question to these guys, and maybe for the veterans, I don't know how Harlem, Lee, and Gabe feel. I don't want to leave out Bodie. He's a Highlander now. But the tease on the social media said rivalry renewed. I don't know who's running it. I don't know if it's Damon. I don't know if it's someone of the football staff. I don't know which rivalry is being renewed. I would think that maybe the 1 year hiatus with the Saints Of course, we love playing the Saints. It's a huge game. Every year, you don't know who's going to win Helix and Saints. We want to think we're going to win every one. You don't know year to year. But the rivalry will be renewed, I think, with the Mount Miguel Matadors. Look, it's not a rivalry day because Helix has dominated the Matadors when they've played, but they haven't played in 9 years. And the Matadors now, there's no doubt, you have to include them in the top 10, if not even inside the top 6, 7 teams in the county right now. So maybe I'll go to these guys and ask them which is the rivalry renewed, because to me, Mount Miguel and Helix, as old as I am, those are some of the best classic games that have been played maybe prior to the turn of the century. So these guys don't know anything about that. But when I was young, it was Helix and Mount Miguel. I mean, that was often a lot of times one of the games of the year. So Harlem, let me ask you about that. And which game is the rivalry renewed, or was that just something I read?
I'm not too sure much about rivalries at Helix. I know it's mainly Grossmont, so I'm not too sure about a rivalry. So
good point, Gabe. Any opinion on that?
Yeah. So I mean, when it comes to rivalries, I've always been, raised as a Helix fan. I've been going to games since I was 6 years old. So if not know everyone, know the major ones like Harlem said, Grossmont for sure. But when we mentioned that, or wherever you read that, I think it mainly meant, we have teams coming up who we're going to play. We didn't get a chance to play Saints last year. You know what I mean? That's a big thing that we didn't get to do. We scrimmaged them, but we didn't get to play them. And Mount Miguel, haven't played them in 9 years, like you said. So it's more of, I think, just an overall perspective. We get to play all these teams we haven't played for. And, I think that any team we get to play for sure is gonna be a game. I mean, that's the way I put it. You know what I mean? We both got good teams. I mean, all respect over to Mount Miguel. They got great guys over there. They're working, but we're working, and that's what the best way to go. When Friday night comes, it's time for 2 good teams in San Diego to get bested, and that's it might become a rivalry right then and there. So
all right, Dave always likes to talk about that. Grossmont, I don't think it's a rivalry when you've won as many in a row as Helix has. But Mount Miguel hasn't beaten Helix since 1987, and the closest they've been was in 2000. It was 21-19 Helix. That Mount Miguel team in 1987, by the way, had one of the best statistical defenses probably in county history, actually, Dave. But it's going to be a big one. But I know you want to ask about the big game against the Eagles, Dave, the one that may decide. I'll say this, Dave, before you get into it, because you're going to want to ask these guys. Helix hosts Granite Hills. They host Mount Miguel. That will give them the slightest of edges schedule-wise. That's about all I can say about it.
And that kind of, I don't know. I tend to think that, and I don't know, Gabe, maybe you, Gio, if you think the last few years, I would think that Granite Hills was one of the bigger rivalries because for a while there, several years, Helix would just dominate Granite Hills. And then in the last couple of years, they've gone head to head, and there's been some real barn burners. And as of recently, until they won the state championship, let's face it, that was probably the best Granite Hills team to ever play those couple of years ago, and not to mention the CIF champions last year. But wouldn't you say that was more of a rivalry in the last several years?
Yeah, I can definitely call it a rivalry in the past couple of years. I think with the tension for sure after that game that we played 2 years ago at home, and it was I'm not gonna say it was a blowout. We definitely went triple overtime back to back years, both games. So but yeah, just another really good team. A good team and good team here. So like I said, every time we get the opportunity to play any team that comes across to us, it's a good game. And that's what I love about Helix. We're never gonna have a game where it's a major bad situation. We're going to give us, the best fight we can, as we always do every game.
Maybe I
Jill, there's also did you hear about? I mean, because it was pretty recently that in the after the pandemic, it was a shortened season, and it ended up being, I don't know if you, what was it, a trifecta champions in the Hills League, tri champs.
Hey, look, with all due respect to those have been some of the best games in the East County over the last couple of years when Helix plays Granite Hills. I mean, overtime is almost guaranteed. Maybe I could look at it this way for Bodie. Let me get him involved a little bit in the convo here. And hey, look who we got. We got Coach Jones coming in, Dave.
Yep, you just told me.
Bodie here real quick, though. Bodie, one thing about coming over from modern day here to Helix, getting the playoffs, tough games. They've upgraded their schedule, but here is more of a week-to-week challenge. It feels like down there, maybe a couple games were a little bit easier. So this is going to be an awesome schedule, Bodie. When we get to league play.
I don't know. This year it'd be like a lot of new teams that I'd be facing, because I mean, I've never ever out of my high school years, I've never gone against El Camino or Edison, especially St. Francis. They're all the way in. Actually, I don't really know where they're from, and definitely it's gonna be a new league. All these new rivalries and stuff is getting it's pretty cool just getting all involved in this stuff. And it's been a really nice experience.
Hey, Coach Jones, are you hearing us okay?
I hear you good. How are you guys doing?
Okay. No, great. Thank you for getting all these guys in here, and we've covered some great things with them, but we also covered with Gabe the turnover that you're faced with here. Thank you for getting, 3 veterans and your star transfer in here for us. But for you, and I already praised that was happy to have with you being head coach, I basically felt like a Helix guy for once, and this has been great for me to watch us continue to excel. But how has the challenge been a little bit? Dave alluded to the fact that for you in your 3rd season, maybe this is the most. I don't want to say a challenge. It's never a challenge for us at Helix, but you got a little bit of work to do.
You know what? Unprecedented since I've been coaching. However, with that challenge, we have the opportunity to, watch some really great players like you have on your panel from Lee and Bodie and Gio and Harlem. So the opportunity to shine in the bright lights, and they've been working hard. So yeah, it definitely has been a learning curve for all of us, but we are excited about what we can do and what we will do this year.
Dave?
Yeah, Coach. I mean, we don't want to use we were talking about it earlier, the term rebuild, and Ramon was mentioning, that we're reloading, and for you to change, are you changing up the playbook as well with some of these younger guys coming up, and maybe some of these outstanding freshmen that you got joining the club?
I didn't want to allude to Lee's mobility that people have been talking about compared to your last quarterback, who's going to be a Division I guy, Coach.
There's a little bit of athleticism difference between those two guys, just a tad. But no, we didn't necessarily change who we are. I mean, I think we're exactly, we're going to adapt to, get our best players the ball, right? So, for example, for a kid like Harlem, all right, who has a unique skill set to compete for things, we didn't necessarily have that guy last year, right? We had Kevin Allen, who we gave him the ball, and we ran him inside and all that, and our he has a unique skill set where we want to touch it out in different space and things like that. And then somebody like Gio defensively, with his skill set, he might not like much, but he's gonna give you everything that he got defensively, and he's really good in the run fit. So we're gonna make sure that we capitalize kids and their skill set. So we're not changing who we are schematically. We're just putting kids in the best position to be successful, depending on what they have shown us up to this point.
Now, Gio, are you the? Have you already been dubbed the captain of the defense? I would assume.
I have not been that absolute given role, but the way that I look at it, I will definitely, when we are looking for a call or anything, I'm definitely on top of it. So I'm definitely making sure everybody's in check because I love making sure that everyone's doing their job, including me. So
The reason I ask you that is because when you were brought in the earlier games when you were a little younger, I think that helped a lot in helping you grow. And I would think that you would deserve, and I'm sure Coach would agree, that you would win that role anyway. And it is that important to have a captain on the field knowing what that offense is doing. And I'm sure Lee could be the first person to tell you that, especially when you're those audibles that are being ran at that line in the motion. You never know what's going to happen, so you got to be on top of that.
Yeah.
Coach, I'm not sure you probably haven't announced your captains yet, but you got these veterans on screen. Who else? Some veterans qualified to be captain, or some other guys that we know are going to be there this year? Or I see in the chat talking about Pablo coming over from Granite. They're asking about that. So I wouldn't put the pressure. We've talked a little bit about him, but maybe it's best that you comment on and Bodie too. Maybe your transfers here and what we've got going, because I've already talked about these guys. This is going to be an awesome league season with the Eagles and the Matadors and our other rivals as well.
For sure. In regards to the guys that's on the panel, Gio is the quarterback of our defense. Lee does a lot of his talking pre-snap. We asked Gio to do a lot of the talking pre-snap as well. He makes the calls on checks and motions. He makes the calls of what we need. There's a lot that gets put on his shoulders, and the reason why we put it on his shoulders is because we know that he's done it, for us a little bit last year, but at the same time, we know that it means the most to him. A couple other guys that, we're going to be young, but we are going to lean on some of our veteran guys, like with Pablo. He's one of those guys that's won at a high level. So we're definitely going to depend on his experience. Somebody like Bodie, he's going to be one of the few guys on the team that we're going to require to go both ways. He might not be the, verbal guy, but the way he works in the weight room, the way that he works on the field, he doesn't want to miss practice. So sometimes you need the verbal guy, and sometimes you need a guy to just kind of show you by the action. If Bodie goes out and he says, "Hey, we're going to do this today, defensively or offensively," everybody's going to listen because he's a man of few words, but his actions speak loud. So, we have that, and Lee's obviously naturally by his position, he's a quarterback, so he has to use his voice. And then Harlem, hard worker. At the same time, even though he wasn't been with us, for long, he came with us last year and he fit in seamlessly. And because of his senior and his seriousness to his craft, I think that people gravitate and the young guys gravitate to that. So we have some veteran guys that that's going to be coming back like older guys. Even though we are going to be young, we are going to lean on some of our veteran guys. And
oh no.
Dang.
Yeah, no, I was riveted by that. Maybe we'll give Coach one chance to come back with these guys. Harlem, he was mentioning you there, and I mentioned the transfers that are coming in. So, what do you see here right now? You're a veteran as well. We're going to give him one chance. If we don't get him back, we'll move on out of here, Dave. But Harlem, go ahead and speak to what Coach was alluding to, if you can.
About the transfer?
Yeah, just the players that are coming in and how you fit, and you were with the team last year, I know. So.
Yeah, so I joined late to the team last year, so I transferred from Corona Centennial, another really great program.
Mm-hmm.
I had to say about them, but yeah, like guys like Bodie who transferred in, even Noah Luifi from St. Augustine, another great young dog. that's on defense. So, and Pablo. So we didn't get too many transfers, but the ones that we got, I feel like we've meshed well with, and we're building our chemistry pretty strong early. So I think it's looking good.
Now, I'm going to ask real quick, and then we can let you guys go. And I wanted to just get some who thinks circles the biggest game on their calendar. I'm gonna start with Lee since I've been talking to him most of the time. I'm sure Granite could be right there. Maybe Mount Miguel.
A big
Wow.
for me, the game I'm excited for is Ken Weston. Just because I came from there, I definitely got a chip on my shoulder.
And how about yourself, Bodie or Bodie? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. I'm actually really excited for St. Francis. I heard that they're a really talented team, and I'm just very curious on how I match up against them. That's cool, and I'm very excited for Mount Miguel because I was with their head coach my freshman year. It'd be good just to play against him, and I also know a lot of guys on that team because there are some guys from modern day that also transferred over there, and some guys that I know from youth. And it'd be really good to compete against them.
Yo.
I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward every single game, getting out there, just
I
doing
knew
my
he was going to
job.
say that.
Mhm.
I'm just every single game is a game for me. So I mean, there's no other way to put it. But obviously, every rivalry that we said, I'm looking forward to as well. Whether that's Mount Miguel, Granite Hills, Saints, any of them. I'm excited for it all.
Harlem.
I don't really have a team looking forward to play. I just know we got some good competition on the schedule, so we just got to go game by game, compete, and hopefully we come out with the win in each one. So.
Coach Jones, here's what what they're alluding to when you cut off. Who would be the biggest game this year? My friends here, my fellow Highlanders, couldn't really answer the question, so I've got to ask you. In the social media post that said rivalry renewed, I had a hard time deciding in my own mind. Was it the 1 year hiatus against Saints, or is it the fact that when we were young, Helix and Mount Miguel was one of the biggest games of the year? They haven't beaten us since 1987, but nonetheless, that was a big game when I was a kid, when I was young. Remember that they had some awesome teams with some incredible defenses. So I didn't know if the rivalry renewed that was referring to we're playing the Saints again, or that it's back. It's game on with the Matadors, no doubt.
I'm pretty sure we play for, like how we play Grossmont, we play for the musket. A lot of these kids, our kids don't know, but we actually play for the claymore, which is a sword. So we play for a trophy, and that thing has been mounted in our library, for a while. So that's going to be an exciting game when it comes back and when we play in this year and things like that. So, we have one of those schedules where each week we can't look past anybody. But some of those games we get to play for something besides pride and a win. We get to play for some legacy stuff. So that's always nice as well.
Hey, Dave, Coach DeMaja just ruined my question for the. I was going to see if any of these guys knew the perpetual trophy that is played here, because they don't even. They're like the joke says, these guys have never even seen the musket because we've had it for so long. I didn't know if they knew what the Claymore sword even looked like, but I just wanted to let them see, just in case they've never seen the musket that we've owned. Now, I might be a crazy Highlander for having it on my phone here. Don't lose this thing ever, you guys. Let's keep that Claymore sword as well, Dave. If you want to get us out of here, thank you, Coach Jones, for coming in. I know you're packing up there. That's awesome for you to visit us. It's great to see you here. But thank you so much. I'd ask you questions for another half hour, Dave. If you got one more for Coach Jones, I wouldn't mind.
Coach, I'm just saying, this is your second year with this squad?
Third now.
Third now.
Going on. Well, I've been with Helix since 2008, but this is my third year being the head
For
guy.
a few years.
Yeah.
And this is probably more of probably the biggest reloaded team and youngest team you've coached in those 3 years.
Oh, for sure.
And do you look forward to anybody in particular, or it's just a game by game?
No, believe it or not, and this is just truthful, I'm looking forward to watching, Lee and Harlem, and I'm like the guys on this panel. I'm looking forward to see them in live bullets. They get an opportunity to kind of show the world their talent. Like from the opponent standpoint, we're going to take every opponent serious that we play. I mean, we got a scrimmage tomorrow against two really good schools, and we're going to take them serious. But the thing that I'm looking forward to is watching, Lee Wiggles get wiggly on somebody else besides my defense. Watching.
I wanted to say it so bad. I
Yeah,
wanted to say Lee Wiggles all show, quite frankly.
Yeah, I'm ready to see Harlem get busy on offense with the ball in his hands, and the live situation gets different. It's one thing. I'm ready for. We have to get to unleash Gio a little bit. We have to pull him back sometimes in practice. We get to unleash him, and then Bodie. I can't wait to see what he does, and because he really works hard at his craft. So not so much. We get to play different teams and excited, but I'm excited to watch my guys go against other opponents. And then now the world can kind of see what, we did. We lost a lot, but we got some really, really good players that it's going to shock some people and be like, okay, and turn some heads. So I'm excited for that more than anything, to be honest.
And then Lee, having Pablo, I'm sure is that's a win within itself. And the way you said, how long you been playing with Pablo? Since 8th grade, I think you said.
Since 5th grade. I played against them. I've been playing with Pablo for a while.
So you guys are on the same page
locally, right? You played, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely have some chemistry, and he's definitely gonna relieve some pressure on me as rushing wise, for sure.
Yeah, but it's going to be a lot different, right, Coach, with having a pair of legs. It's always nice to have a gunslinger, but to have both and have somebody be able to tuck that ball and pick up that first down, and that's that extra bag of tricks.
Nah, for sure. I think the biggest thing with Lee that we get to see, obviously, a lot of people know that he's athletic, but he throws a really good ball. Like his deep balls are really good, and I'm excited for that, to what he's going to do, not only with his legs, but with his arms. So, again, I repeat, I'm just excited for our guys, and we got some linemen up front that, that I'm excited to watch. So, so I'm excited. And obviously Pablo's experience, and we're going to lean on his experience a little bit in the run game, and, we're going to let him do him. And, we've always had a running back, so we just kind of having a new guy that's going to be toting the rock for us. So I'm excited. I am.
All right.
Well,
Dave.
Helix is always a competitive team. They have been for ever since their existence. It looks like you got a pretty good group here athletically, and they got a good head on their shoulders, and definitely got a football mind. So I think you got yourself a good young team that's going to learn real quickly.
Oh, for sure. Yes, we definitely do. And we have some good seniors too that's going to, to help, bridge some of that youngness, with the Geos and Harlems. They can help bridge some of those young guys as, we lean on them a little bit and bring those young guys along. So, we have a good mix. We have a good mix.
Great job, Dave, getting the Highlanders. I'll put the pressure on these guys. I mean, it was only 8 points basically that separated these guys from an undefeated and continuing to go on and advance throughout the postseason. So it was an awesome season last year. And as a Highlanders alum and fan, we only expect and demand the best from these guys, and I'm sure we'll get it this year. Coach Jones, thanks for popping in too, sir. That's so awesome. We're going to be hitting you up for sure. Now that we know that you're willing to talk to us while loading up your trunk, who knows when we're going to hit you up.
I'm at my son's Pop Warner practice, so I was,
Can you believe it? No, never stop. Probably as a parent, but maybe you're, I don't know, we'll put you out there. I'm sure you're coaching them up too.
Oh no, strictly dad. Strictly, I do
Look,
enough, Coach. Strictly
all
dad.
of our, all of our top guys look like they're getting, doing well in their preparation for their college football season. So no doubt our 2 seniors here and our 2 juniors probably headed for greater things beyond Helix High School as well, because look at these guys. You got thank you to our panel as well with Lee Norman Lester here, the junior quarterback. He's got plenty of time to grow and learn following a Division I quarterback, and why not Lee? He can continue to develop. Harlem Harris, we already know he's got college class speed, no doubt about it. I told Coach Jones, I said that Dave loves those guys who go sub 4.5, sub 11. Those are his favorite players. Bodie,
mine too.
Bodie Friend, with all with respect to Harlem, Lee, and Gabe, Bodie Friend might be the talent that's going to be superstar here. Feels like with his resume, and I already talked about his family a little bit, and glad that he's at Helix here finally. And man, I'm going to call Gabe 2.0 if he doesn't mind, because his dad was a great Highlander, went on to play college football as well. So thank you to the Highlanders. Good luck this year. I want a league title. I want more. I want championships, but that's what we do at Helix. Thank you, Dave, for getting the Highlanders tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us on the show.
For the Helix Highlanders, for Dave Dickens, I'm Highlander Ramon Scott. Once a Scotty, always a Scotty, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.